Hi there. My name is Erica. I just started getting some of my personal stories and learnings out there, and I don't think I can do another video without talking about vacation funds. Primarily because I'd like to discuss physical and mental health, developing an empowered mindset, and all that good stuff. And the scariest parts of my personal physical and mental health journey took place during my vacation fund years. So from a holistic perspective, I think it's important for me to share what my mind was dealing with when my body started to fail. In 2020, a few months into the pandemic, I officially failed and wound down my tech startup after 3.5 years of iterating and growing. The entire tech startup founder journey was such an incredible experience, and I could create videos for years about what I learned in the process. So I will try to do the quickest recap possible and then maybe dig deeper into parts of this journey in the future. Out of university, I went into sales and trading. Finance is what my dad did for 20 years of his career, and he made decent money and never worked on weekends, and he was home for dinner almost every night. So from a lifestyle perspective, I was very much into it. I was also a competitive athlete growing up, and the trading floor was fast-paced and allowed me to utilize my competitive energy in my day job. On the trading floor, I was in a rotational program, so I was changing jobs and teams every 4 to 6 months. A couple years in, I was struggling to find my permanent seat on the floor. I also spent a lot of my downtime reading articles about young startup founders building companies, and I started thinking, hey, I'd love to do something like that. I can be passionate. How hard can it be? So one of the advice videos that I'd watched for new startup founders suggested not to start a startup unless you are so passionate about solving the problem that you can't not do it. So in other words, you feel the need to solve a very specific problem. So I started thinking, what am I truly passionate about? What do I need to bring into this world? I was only about 23 as I started brainstorming startup ideas, so I was a bit limited in the life experiences that I could pull passion from. When I started looking back to my childhood, I knew I had a fortunate upbringing. My dad is what I like to refer to as a millennial before millennials, because he was all about travel and unique experiences over stuff. So growing up, we never really did physical gifts because he always put our money, our resources towards experiences and adventures, things that we could do together. He was very, very frugal, and he found scrappy ways for us to travel on a budget, house swaps, hostels, camping. And so by the time I turned 22, I'd actually visited over 40 countries. Based on that incredible upbringing, I wanted to help other people achieve their vacation dreams without going into debt or being financially irresponsible. I don't believe that travel or unique experiences should only be for people of a certain income bracket. I wanted to make interesting vacations attainable to more people. So I started dreaming up what I called Vacation Fund, which at first I thought would be an automated savings tool specifically for people's travel goals. It would be visual, it would be aspirational, and every time you spent money unnecessarily or took away from a future trip, there would be a signal that you were getting further from your next adventure based on your spending habits. It could also be motivational and would provide curated travel or local adventure recommendations based on people's budget, desired timeline, activity preferences, and so on. So while I was still working in finance as my day job, I decided to work on Vacation Fund on my evenings and weekends. I had no idea where to start, so I decided to take an evening course called Intro to Web Development at a tech school in Toronto called BrainStation. It turns out I'm not a great coder, and I didn't enjoy coding myself, but I learned a little bit of the language that I eventually used to communicate with developers. Helped me speak their language a little bit. So after that, I did another evening course on UX, or user experience design, and this course was much better aligned with what I really needed at the time. So it allowed me to visualize and map out what I wanted my app to look like. I was able to produce a clickable prototype on InVision coming out of this course, and from there I started looking for someone technical to work on this project with. I posted a job on AngelList, I think, first. So in 2016, I realized that I was too distracted to move forward with my day job that often required, at that point, working 12 to 14-hour days. So I gave notice to the bank, and in early 2017, I started working on Vacation Fund full time. I had no startup network, no plan, and I was prepared to spend about 1 to 2 years not making any money to get this company started. So that was the plan. I went to tech meetups and events to start to introduce myself to the community and hopefully meet a technical co-founder. I got really, really lucky from this perspective. Abby and I met at a tech meetup in early 2017, and by the end of the year, he had quit his full-time job to join me in pursuing Vacation Fund. And that was awesome. Great friendship came from that. I also spent a lot of time looking into accelerator programs for early stage startups. Accelerators are intensive programs that provide founders with access to resources that can help them build their companies faster. So in March 2017, I applied to the local chapter of Founder Institute, a startup launch program for early stage companies, mostly first-time founders. I was accepted into the program, and it began in May 2017. Every Monday night for 3 hours, and founders were given an opportunity to pitch their idea every week to a panel of judges from the startup community. There was also helpful programming to talk through the various aspects of building a startup. I met some incredible people during the 3-month program, but the feedback I got from an overwhelming number of Canadian startup experts was, do not try to build a B2C or business to consumer financial technology company in Canada. So in other words, do not try to start an automated savings tool for vacations in Canada. The market is just too small, the idea was too niche, and navigating the monopoly of Canadian banks would be too difficult. So after one of the Monday night sessions, I was having a conversation with the CEO of a successful tech company in Toronto that had been on one of our panel judges and mentors that night. And he said something along the lines of, I have a company full of millennials, and they're really not great at using their vacation days that they've earned, and they're burning out like crazy. Maybe we can run a pilot in my company and see how Vacation Fund evolves. It was after this suggestion that Vacation Fund very quickly evolved to a B2B, or business to business, offering. It became the best benefit for today's workforce. So Vacation Fund became an amazing employee benefit offered by forward-thinking companies that allowed employees to direct a portion of their paycheck into their vacation fund, and it allowed companies to top up or match a portion of that contribution. So Vacation Fund became a new, exciting way for companies to attract talent and combat employee burnout, encouraging employees to use their time off. So by putting money towards their employees' vacation fund, companies were sending a strong message that taking time off is an expectation. And if you don't use your vacation days and your vacation fund money, you're losing out on a part of your compensation. So without software properly built out, we had our first pilot client for Vacation Fund in early 2018. Employees filled out a typeform survey to tell us where they were hoping to travel to next and how much of their paycheck they wanted to direct towards their vacation fund. And then I coordinated myself with the payroll provider to get that deduction set up. So I would email employees manually once a month to let them know how much they had saved for their trip so far and how much longer it would be until they had reached their vacation fund goal. It was extremely manual. It was the epitome of doing things that do not scale. But we had paying customers. And that was really all it took for us to get the attention of a more advanced accelerator called Techstars. I met the guy running the Techstars Chicago program, and by July 2018, Abby and I had moved to Chicago to take part in a 3-month sprint to finish building the first version of our software, to sign on more clients, and to raise some money and build out our team. So after that program, we were scheduled to onboard our first 300 plus employee company in January 2019. Our software was ready. We got through the company's procurement process. We spent hours going back and forth every week with their team to ensure that all the checks and balances were in place, make sure the employees and the employer would have a relatively seamless onboarding experience. And the day before the launch party for the employees, the company decided not to move forward with the vacation fund. We were obviously crushed, but we knew that all of the work done to prepare to onboard that company would be helpful for the next companies. So we continued to onboard new clients, grow our monthly recurring revenue, hire a team, and make platform improvements throughout 2019. We also got some incredible and unexpected media coverage halfway through the year that had us trending on LinkedIn to tell the world to check out the companies that were helping staff pay for their vacations. The inbound interest across North America from potential new clients after that media coverage was beyond my wildest dreams. Our company continued to grow into the early months of 2020, and then everything, and I mean everything, came to a screeching halt as the world went into lockdown and travel was no longer a thing. So I sort of blacked out, and a lot of 2020 is a blur to me. We'd only raised $500,000, 500,000 US in the life of the company. And so when the pandemic hit, we only had a few months of runway left. So we could no longer pay our team. None of our potential new clients would pick up the phone, and no investor was prepared to put any more money into a company that was selling an employee benefit that was viewed as a nice to have and not urgent at the beginning of a pandemic. So I spent a few months trying to get our team acqui-hired or get our technology acquired by a company in the employee benefits or the travel space. But in 2020, most of the companies under those umbrellas were struggling themselves and were not really in a position to acquire any new assets. It took me a while after that to dissolve the company and sort out the accounting. We'd never made a profit, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't owe the government any money from a tax perspective, from the revenue that we'd generated. So as I look back on the vacation fund journey today, I'm obviously extremely grateful for the experiences that I've had, the lessons that I learned, and the incredible people I met along the way. Some really, really awesome founders building great things for the future. The only part of the vacation fund experience that makes my stomach sink to this day is knowing that the friends and family and angels that invested in the company never got to see a return on their investment. I know that's common with startups, but knowing that people invested their hard-earned money in me and my team and then lost their investment does not make me feel good. And I think for that reason alone, I would not jump at the opportunity to start an investor-backed startup again. Bootstrapping is obviously a lot of work, but I think that approach sits better with me personally. So there you have it. That was my experience starting and running a tech startup with no background in tech, no background in human resources that I was selling into, and no background in the travel industry. So it seems easy to look back on it now, knowing that I was very much in over my head. But I truly do believe that with the right strategic partners and the right industry expertise, this concept of employer-funded or employer-incentivized vacations can make its way back into the world and be a success. So I hope I see someone do that. And if I can be helpful, awesome. Thanks for tuning in.